gotta adjust some settings here. Good morning, fair friends, literal fair friends. Today is a fabulous morning. I'm here with my sibling. We are headed to the New York Renaissance Fair this morning. There are humans, hold on. It's like the state of all my vlogs, it's just like So if you are American, you may understand the fabulous tradition that is Ren Fair. Apparently they are not so much a thing outside of the US, but basically there's nothing historically accurate about Ren Fairs. So Danny here is dressed
my fawn character
as their fawn character. I here am wearing this thing, which is
cannot see at all.
Technically 18th century Scottish. So we are now headed to Port Authority, which is where the bus from Manhattan leaves to take us about an hour upstate to get to the New York Renaissance Fair.
To the fair!
We're going to the fair! You're gonna have 100,000 people in the comments asking you about these feet.
They're called Tabbys. They're actually like from martial arts.
Appreciate the feet.
For those of you in parts of the world that do not do such things as Ren Fairs, allow me to explain, at least from the perspective of our New York Renaissance Fair. Basically, it is a permanent village of purpose-built structures that exist for the sole purpose of being a Ren Fair, even though it's only open during the summer. And it's pretty big. I had to look this up, but our New York Fair is 65 acres large, which means absolutely nothing to my city trash brain, but Google also tells me that's equivalent to 40.625 square blocks, which is like a healthy serving size of Manhattan. But in the, I don't know, nearly a decade that Danny and I have been going to this fair, we still have not managed to see and do everything. It's insane. So there's a cast of characters who walk around in costume, some in closer representations of Elizabethan dress, and some more fantastical. So there are tons of little random events and scenes happening throughout the fair during the day. Then there are all the performances and musician acts at the dozens of different stages. There are so many different pubs that they actually have started an official pub crawl within the fair. Independent merchants and craftsfolk who set up shops and sell stuff, and so much staged combat. It is definitely a full day that flies by. Wow, remember the olden days when we could go thoroughly exhaust ourselves running around tiny fantasy villages filled with other humans? It sort of feels like a parallel universe. And in a weird way, I'm kind of glad that I never bothered to edit this footage from last year's fair. I just didn't really find it very interesting, but what a haunting reality check in that a mere 1 year later, I now have an entirely new appreciation for the simple depiction of humans out in the world, walking around and doing stuff. What strangeness the world has become.
Oh, I'm sitting on my stuff.
How's your fair going?
Fair is very lovely today.
It's actually nice out, although we've been sitting in the shade for like half an hour, so.
You have.
I have. I have. We make a point to deliberately come at the end of September, although it's the end of September and it's still 29 Celsius, whatever that translates into Fahrenheit. Usually it's a bit cooler, which is so much nicer because we like to dress in costume, which means when you come and it's like 90 degrees, then it's like, it's unbearable.
And I'm in fur pants. I'm not dying.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Thought has exited my brain, pursued by a bear. I now advise people that if you're gonna come to fair with a group of people, like, don't expect to stay together because there is so much to do. And everyone's got different interests. So like, Danny's interested in, what are you interested in?
I like the performances and the music.
I want to say I'm here for the history. Like, it's not a historical event, but there is the whole guild of people who reenact the Queen's Court. Ren fairs, I find, around this country tend to be set in different time periods and also based on who's playing what royal characters. So like some fairs are Henry VIII Tudor. This fair happens to be Queen Elizabeth I. and depending on the age of the woman who plays the queen, that tells you what era of the Elizabethan period we're in. One of my favorite parts about coming to fair is looking around, just observing the people watching, and seeing what people interpret as Renaissance. People are so weird. People who don't necessarily study history, they're not into historical costuming, they're just like here with their friends, but they want to make an effort to at least like dress up. I have this 70s boho chic festival ruffle blouse with the flower crowns. With the flower crowns, and that's like and Renaissance to them.
Sewn onto the dress.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to me as someone who focuses on history, albeit not dressed historically.
I think the Renaissance Fair especially welcomes the fantastical as well, and people who want to make their own cosplays and make their own characters, and play fairies and elves and dwarves and dragons and fawns.
It's a festival, it's not like a reenactment. I was just saying earlier, I feel like coming to Ren Fair is like going on holiday for me. It's like I don't have to worry about being historically accurate. I don't have to worry about getting roasted for my like machine embroidery on this. Oh, those fries look so good.
Ooh, look at that bowl. Those fries, that bread, that chunk.
So pro tip number 2, the food here is delicious. It's carnival food. It's not necessarily historically accurate. It's really expensive. So we have just taken to bringing our own food. We pack a little picnic lunch, which is not nearly as delicious, but it is cheap.
Save yourself time in line.
Yeah,
and
also the
save
lines.
yourself like at least $20.
Yeah.
And of course, a trip to the fair is not complete without a jousting match.
Smash that like button and subscribe. Make sure to like this video if you like this video.